Welcome back to the Open Wheel Offline League Season 5, Round 10. We are just about to hit the halfway point in the season, and the championship, although the lead is pretty wide, there's still many races to go. We've seen this championship go from a pretty wide margin from first to second, and then shrink all the way down to just a couple points, so everything's still on the table. But let's go through your starting lineup for today's race. In the back, once again, will be the 53 of Tinkle McStinkle, difficult qualifying, and Nico Hulkenberg will be to his inside, coming off his best result in his first ever top 10 at Spa. Row 13, Dawa Tenzin, going to be looking to try to make up some points to get into the leader circle. Same with the double zero of Glover Lore, starting deep in the field. Row 12, starting pretty deep in the field, especially compared to what she's used to. Dorian Pin starting all the way back in 24th after a disappointing qualifying. Benjamin Peterson will be on her inside, who had also a pretty disappointing qualifying. We're going to have to see if they can cut their way through the field today. Row 11, the 75 of Devlin DiFrancesco led some laps at Spa. Hopefully, he'll be able to finish up near the front today. And then Lawless Allen will be to his inside in the number 92. Up to row 10, we have Miles Rowe on the outside, got his second top 10 at Spa, and then David Malukas got his first podium of the season and his first top 10 of the season at Spa, and put himself inside the leader circle by just 3 points over Miles Rowe. Row 9 is the 76 of Ethan Martz, and to his inside, a pretty similar looking car. 54 of Mahavir Raghunathan got Team Canada Dry's best result at Spa, as he will be starting in 17th, one of his best qualifyings of the season. And then row 8, Carlos Huertas, he's finished 6th the last 2 races, but it's been pretty messy. So if he can keep the car clean today, who knows what he'll be able to finish. Then Lindsey Brewer, his teammate, will be to his inside in that 47. Row 7, Stingray Rob gets another new best qualifying result on the road courses this season. Going to be starting in 14th, just missed out on round 2. And then Alessio Deletta will be to his inside. Row 6, Deletta's teammate, Francesco Draconi, finally made it back to round 2. And same with Robbie Lohr. It's been a while since either of those drivers had made it. And this is going to be their best qualifying effort in quite some time. Row 5, Brennan Hubbard coming off his best result of the season, finishing second at Spa. Then to his inside is Guy Gagne, looking to make up some points. And then row 4 on the outside, despite flipping at Spa, Ryan Preece came back to finish in 13th. Not quite what he would have wanted, but still pretty decent considering the circumstances. Then Louis Foster going to be on his inside. And then row 3 on the outside, your Spa winner, Justin Allgaier, got another win, the 7th win of the season for Swindlers of the Immortals. His first career win as a rookie. To his inside is going to be the number 19 of Nolan Siegel, who's going to try and get his first win for Viking Racing. Same with Connor Zilich, who starts in 4th, should have won at Spa, but had to pit very late into the race, dropped all the way down to 17th, cost them some points, cost them some money, and cost them their first win of the season. And to his inside is going to be Chet Jordan, who's had an unfortunate last few races and has nearly dropped outside the top 10 in points. Then the front row, the same as the last 3 races, going to be Shane Van Gisbergen on the outside, looking for win number 5 of the season to beat the record for most wins in one season by one driver. And then Marcus Armstrong still winless on a road course, got taken out in an accident at Spa, no fault of his own, but pretty unfortunate. But he's going to have another chance today to try to close in on the championship. He's 72 points back, only 1 point ahead of Louis Foster, who's closed in after a 4th place finish at Spa. Nolan Siegel is in 4th, and then Guy Gagne over 100 points back in 5th. Swindlers of the Immortals continues to grow their team standings lead. They're pretty checked out. We're racing in Zandvoort for the first time. It's also the first time we've been to the Netherlands. 2.64 mile circuit for 35 laps. That's 92 miles. And the sim time will take place June 21st at 2 p.m. It's a very interesting circuit. A lot of strange features, elevation changes, banking being a huge notable thing about this track. As your starting lineup will scroll across the top. Now, disclaimer for today's race, we will be starting single file. We had a lot of issues at the start of Spa that a single file single file grid will prevent. It'll keep everyone in their grid spots, so qualifying actually meant something. And on some circuits, we'll still be able to do 2 wide, especially on the ovals. But on some road courses, it seemed to be an issue for whatever reason. Nothing that I can really change. Let's see what the tire compounds show for today's race. Marcus Armstrong, your pole sitter, going to be on the mediums. Van Gisbergen on the softs. Chet Jordan will be on the mediums. Connor Zilich on the mediums, so mediums seem to be a popular choice. His teammate Nolan Siegel will also be on the mediums. Allgaier on the mediums. Foster on the softs, just like his teammate Van Gisbergen. Ryan Preece will be on the softs. Gagne going to be the first car on the hards. So will teammate Brennan Hubbard. Robbie Lohr going to be on the mediums. And then Francesco Draconi, your last of the top 12, going to be on the mediums. So mediums being a strong choice for today's race. Really, Spa was the first time we saw the soft tires be the best tire. Quite interesting. Not used to seeing that. Let's take a look at your weather. 77 degrees. Clear skies, not a single cloud. 2-mile-per-hour wind speed, humidity of 48%. It's pretty much as perfect can be. So yes, single file start. It's going to bring the field a little bit closer together at the start. Should make for a better start. So Armstrong has gotten the pole every single race of this road course European leg of the season. We're in the third of that 5-race stretch, but still winless. Granted, only 2 down. This is the third. Can someone beat the Swindlers of the Immortals? They've seemed pretty unbeatable so far this season. Can the 33 get it done? He's going to have his teammate Chet Jordan on the same tires in third, but Van Gisbergen on the softs. He's going to be aggressive at the start as pace car going to pull off as we get ready to go green. Green flag is out here at Zandvoort, and we are underway. It's a clean start. Armstrong gets away well. Van Gisbergen gets away well. Pretty packed up in the back of the field. Chet Jordan already under attack for third. As the 53 is pretty slow. It said that he crashed, but apparently not. "35 laps on a very twisty, high elevation circuit in some parts and big drops. A lot of medium speed corners, high speed corners, and slow corners. But everything looks clean at the start. Chet Jordan back in third. He's fallen a little bit behind the leaders, with Connor Zilich right behind and Nolan Siegel behind him. Most of your top 10 stays the same. Robbie Lohr did get by Brennan Hubbard. That's the only change in your top 10 at the start. Armstrong still leads by over a second on Van Gisbergen. If he can stay out ahead on the medium tires, that would be pretty big. Soft tires looking at more of a 2-stop strategy. Looking for just more speed instead of survival. As here comes Nolan Siegel attacking his teammate Connor Zilic. Can't quite get there. Louis Foster on the soft tire is going to go around his teammate Justin Allgaier pretty easily there. And that is for 6. Van Gisbergen on the back of Armstrong for the lead. Track map now displaying all the cars. As that number 1 looking aggressive. But he's going to be burning a lot of rubber. Let's go on board really quick with the number 1 as he's trying to chase down the 33. He's going to get a big run off this turn. It's a big bank corner, and he's going to have a run going down the front stretch here. Gonna look to the outside. Armstrong just gonna plant his car in the middle, trying to be defensive. Van Gisbergen gonna have to go the long way around, but gonna have the better line here, and Van Gisbergen is to the lead. Gonna have to see if he can pull away on the soft tires or if Armstrong can keep with him, because that's what the 33 needs to do to try to stay in this. Chet Jordan has gotten a little bit of a breakaway from 4th. Back to Zilic, it's Siegel. But Armstrong is staying with Shane Van Gisbergen. Has a good run off the turn here. It'd be quite bold to try to pass here, so he's going to wait in line. But he may have another chance to go by on the front stretch. But Chet Jordan has closed in, Connor Zilic has closed in, so they're kind of accordioning up at the front. Van Gisbergen clearly didn't take off as well as he wanted to. And battling side by side in turn 1 definitely slowed each other down, as Armstrong trying to peek out of line but not going to be able to go for it. He'll stay back in 2nd. Really the best thing that he can do is just be patient and wait for the best opportunity to go by. So he'll be in 2nd, Jordan in 3rd, Zilic and Siegel in 4th and 5th. They've kind of bunched up. Foster a little bit further back in 6th, just ahead of teammate Justin Allgaier. Armstrong has fallen about 7/10 back. So has lost a little bit of time, not too much, as Chet Jordan now under attack from Connor Zilic. Going into turn 1, Zilic gonna back off, Jordan gonna brake late. Meanwhile, Justin Allgaier is going around the outside of teammate Louis Foster. You get the position, so he's back into 6th. Meanwhile, at the back of the field, Dorian Pin runs in 23rd after starting 24th, has only passed 1 car. But that's 2 right there, just went up to 21st. On the soft tires, trying to cut her way forward. Armstrong still just hanging around behind Van Gisbergen, about 8/10 back consistently throughout this lap. Connor Zilic really in the rear view mirrors of that 24, looking to get onto the podium. As up here, Armstrong actually caught up and he's trying to go for the lead in turn 1. He's not going to be on the preferred line, but it doesn't matter. I think his tires are now the better ones. So he's got to take the lead back from Shane Van Gisbergen. Another lead change early on. Gonna have to see if Van Gisbergen can now keep up, but he is going to be at the disadvantage as his tires wear and Armstrong start to become preferred. Jordan still hanging on to third as his teammate takes the lead back. Silly Men Racing currently have 2 cars on the podium. This is very much what they need after a rough last few races. But right as I say that, Zilich going to go around the outside and he's going to get Chet Jordan. Meanwhile, at the back of the field, Stingray Robb has found himself backwards. He's going to need to try to get himself going, and it seems like he will, so no caution there. But Chet Jordan seemingly struggling on his tires now as Nolan Siegel tries looking to the inside, not going to quite get there. But Stingray Robb, first car to run into some trouble as the tires wear starts to become more difficult. He is on the soft tires, which do slide around significantly more as Connor Zilich now all over the back of Van Gisbergen. Gonna have to see how much tire life the number 1 has, but clearly not much as he has already dropped 2 seconds to Armstrong. And everyone is backing up behind Van Gisbergen, so he's probably gonna need to get off these tires soon. As back there, Ryan Preece going to get by Louis Foster for 7th. Foster also on the soft tires, so he is probably struggling as well. Van Gisbergen is going to come in here, as I predicted. Chet Jordan now making a move for 2nd. Not going to be able to get there. Zilich going to hang on to the outside. But the 64 hangs on ahead of the number 10. Preece is on the soft tires though, so he just took care of them significantly better. But Van Gisbergen, he's going to come out in the middle as Robbie has found himself not backwards, but in a weird situation, and he's going to have to wait for a lot of the field to go by. So problems for the number 18. He's on the medium tires, and that's not really a place where you'd crash on your own, as the 99 is also off. So a lot of cars running into issues now, and the 99 is the next one on the list. So he's going to have to wait for everyone to go by. Tire wear becoming a huge factor at this point, and this is a difficult track to hold on to it with how smooth all the turns are. You got a lot of medium speed corners and rounded hairpins as Chet Jordan going to go bold around the outside, and he's going to take 2nd place back away from Connor Zilich. So Zilich falls down to 3rd. Silly Men Racing runs 1-2. Van Gisbergen he came out in 19th. He is on the hard tires. Gonna have to see what he can do with those as he sees the Masters of Motors cars battling in front of him with his teammate Dorian Pin right in the middle of it. Marcus Armstrong has pulled out to over a 3-second lead. Stingray Robb has come into the pits. He's the 2nd car to come in. He spun earlier, so he's having trouble. He's going to be not too far ahead of Marcus Armstrong, so he could be lap traffic soon. As yes, you see on the track map, Stingray Robb not too far ahead of Marcus Armstrong. as I was saying with Robbie Lore earlier, where he spun didn't look like a place where you'd normally see someone spin. That looks like he may have had contact with someone. As Louis Foster has entered the pits, he was on the soft tires, and he seemed to be struggling. Lindsey Brewer gonna follow as well. So pit stop sequence underway for a lot of those cars on soft tires. Gonna have to see how far behind Foster is to Van Gisbergen. Van Gisbergen trying to undercut and go back to the lead, but he is right in the middle of the Hornet's Nest, which is a place where he was during Spa. Marcus Armstrong was in that as well, and it didn't work out for him. Contact with a slower car. As Connor Zilic has gone around the outside into turn something, the chicane, and he's going to get Chet Jordan there again. So Zilic back into second. Jordan falls into third. Jordan might be under attack from Siegel, but the help from the draft for Zilic may be enough. But Siegel going to pop to the outside, looking for third. Jordan going to go bold and try and pick up 2 positions here. That was a big move from the 24. Didn't quite work how he wanted it to. As the 64 of Ryan Preece comes in, he's the next car in. 25 laps to the end, so got to pick a good tire here. Van Gisbergen on the hards. He should be able to get to the end, but is the pace even worth it? Gonna have to see where Preece comes out in terms of Foster. Foster is in the background. He will come out ahead of Foster, but not by much. You see the pink and purple 10 back there. 3.5 seconds is the lead between Armstrong and Zilic. Zilic was just a couple tenths slower than Armstrong. We're going to see what it was this lap, as he didn't have to pass anyone. So still running just a bit slower than the leader, as Justin Allgaier is going to go around Nolan Siegel up the inside into turn 1. Allgaier now up into 4th. Having a pretty good day, trying to back up his Spa victory. Armstrong still behind the 77, but the 77 is now on better medium tires. Lawless Allen gonna enter pit lane here. But Shane Van Gisbergen, he's cut his way up to 13th, now behind Devlin DeFrancesco in the 75. Lucas and Tenzin also gonna come into the pits. They're closer to the back of the field. So Armstrong's lead is shrinking a little bit as the number 9 appears to be closing in. Chet Jordan holding off Justin Allgaier here. These guys are trying to make it to the midway point in the race, which would be about with 17, 18 laps to go. So they still have about 5 or 6 more laps. As Siegel goes up the inside of the 14 of Justin Allgaier, and he is going to get the position. Allgaier going to try and fight back into this bank turn. Allgaier not going to be on the preferred line, as Gagne, Deletta, and Huertas all come in. They were all on the hards. The hard tires not able to make it as long as the mediums, at least pace-wise, doesn't make sense. So only a 2-second lead for Armstrong, as he now is in traffic. He has Malukas and Stingray in front of him, but you can't pit now. You got to try to make it to the midway point, split it 50-50. He's still trying to hold off Foster back here as they cut through the field. These are positions that still matter. Brennan Hubbard gonna come in. He had an off track earlier. So one car between Zilic and Armstrong. Gonna be the 94 of Dawa Tenzin. And Zilic not he's gonna try and get by there as Jet Jordan gonna go by Siegel, and Allgaier is gonna try and hang whip, but can't quite get a better run off the turn. Zilich now behind teammate Brennan Hubbard in the 99 car. He's going to be looking for some help here. He's only about a second and a half behind Armstrong. I mean, he can basically see the 33 now. All this is to say, where's the 33 going to come out in terms of the 1 when he does pit, but does the 1 have to pit again? Seemingly with how the other hard tires went, I don't think so. It's going to be close, but Armstrong now down to just a couple tenths of a second as his tires are not doing too hot, and Zilich is doing fine as he is caught up to the 33. He's going to go around his teammate Brennan Hubbard in the 99 there. Meanwhile, Nolan Siegel is going to get by Chad Jordan, so Sillyman Racing under threat from Viking Racing as the 9 has clear track in front of him. Dorian Pin enters pit lane. Zilich and Armstrong still trying to stretch a few more laps, but Armstrong seemingly struggling. Here they come. Zilich gonna be trying to make a move here. He's definitely close enough. He's gonna pop to the outside, going down into turn 1. And Connor Zilich, bold move around the outside. He's gonna take the lead, and he's gonna try and have his teammate Brendan Hubbard get in the way of the 33. That was nearly some great team strategy for the Viking racing cars. Brendan Hubbard not quite able to get by, but Connor Zilich now to the lead and looking quite quick. Only need to make about 2 or 3 more laps on these tires. I expect all the cars on the medium tires to pretty much pit at the same time, as the 00 has found himself backwards, right in front of where the leaders are. Oh, the leader's going to go by to the inside, and he's going to be able to get fired up again here. So the 00 gets back going as the 9 leads the 33 by over a second now. Miles Rowe entering pit lane. Should not be a factor to the number 9 in terms of where he's going to come out. Van Gisbergen only about 29 seconds back behind the leaders. Whoa, big wiggle from the 33. He is definitely struggling as he has lost 2 seconds to Connor Zilich. 1.8 is the gap. Siegel has pulled away in 3rd. Chad Jordan down there in 4th. Silly Men Racing seem to be struggling on their tire saving. At this point in the race, Van Gisbergen has lost time actually, as it seems Zilich is really getting into his groove. And this could be threatening to everyone else. 3 seconds is the lead now. Zilich is really hoping the 99 can do his part, get in the way, but that may not matter as Nolan Siegel is pulling up. Only about 2 more laps for the medium tires to make it to halfway, which means they could safely make it to the end on fuel and tires. Right now the 9 is in cruise control. Still have to worry about the number 1. We don't know what his status is going to be. I don't know how much of a factor he may really be, because if he does stay in front, which I would imagine when the 9 pits, he's not going to have much to defend with. He's going to be limping his tires to the end of the race, while the 9 will be at peak performance, 4.5 seconds up on Marcus Armstrong, nearly 5 now. Zilich is pretty much in his own world, but his world is about to be invaded as he pulls up to Stingray Robb, who got away from Marcus Armstrong earlier, but now the 9 has to deal with him. McStinkle, and then a huge group of cars starting with Hulkenberg. He's got Robbie, Allen, Malukas, and Pin, who hasn't been able to make up many spots this race. But the worst thing that could happen to Connor Zilich is he gets caught up in their shenanigans. So I think the smart thing for him would be to consider pitting soon, as Brennan Hubbard goes around the 33, and that's not what Armstrong needs. As Armstrong now 0 cars between him and Siegel, and he is going to be under threat as the 92 of Lawless Allen has found himself backwards. The 9 of Connor Zilich has gone by, and Chet Jordan has found himself off track. At the same time, Jordan going to be able to get back going, no cars around him, but Lawless Allen has not been able to get going. He's moving now, so he will get back going. Chet Jordan only lost 1 spot to Justin Allgaier, but when all the pit stops cycle out, that's probably going to be a lot more than just 1 spot. Yeah, lost about 15 seconds there as Allen has run into another issue. He spun immediately again. So has the 99 of Brennan Hubbard. Cars are struggling now. Hubbard going to get back going. Allen going to get back going. As Nolan Siegel going to the inside of Marcus Armstrong here for 2nd place. They're going to be side by side exiting the turn. And it's going to be Siegel who gets that. So Nolan Siegel up into 2nd. Chet Jordan decides not to come in. He's under threat from Francesco Draconi, and Shane Van Gisbergen is back there. Cars on the medium tires, I'm surprised that they haven't come in yet, but I guess you'd rather be safe than sorry, especially in the case of Connor Zilich. So he now has a 6-second lead over teammate Nolan Siegel. Van Gisbergen about 26 seconds back, but now he's gone into a little bit of traffic with Jordan and Draconi. Connor Zilich decides to stay out another lap. Siegel in 2nd. Armstrong going to be the first car on the mediums to pull in. I think that's a good call. He had been struggling for a while. If he's smart, I think Chet Jordan should also come in here. Zilich and Siegel, I think, could go just a little bit longer, but in Zilich's case, I think he should come in next time, because he is going to be in some traffic, has been in some traffic. So Armstrong going to be behind Shane Van Gisbergen here, as to be expected, but he's going to be in some pretty clean air. He's on the medium tires, which is pretty safe. Chet Jordan going to cycle out around Ryan Preece, which isn't too bad. Preece was on the outside of the top 10, like around 8th, before everyone started pitting, so shouldn't be too much time lost. Connor Zilich does get by Stingray Robb there, but I think Zilich should try to come in soon, especially because he's losing time to Siegel now. 5.5 seconds is the gap. as he's going to come in now, and Lindsey Brewer has crashed, and this might be a yellow flag right as Siegel enters the pits. I don't think Brewer's going to get back going. That is going to be a yellow flag right as the pits open for these guys. And that's not exactly what Connor Zilic wanted to see, but that's also not... He wouldn't be too opposed, as he's still going to come out the leader. Actually, that works out perfect for Zilic, I think, unless that's going to give Draconi the lead, which it very might well, because Zilic did pit, so he's probably going to cycle behind the cars that didn't pit. But either way, he still will be on the best tires. As let's go back and see what happened to Lindsey Brewer to cause the first yellow of the day. Definitely in a place that there was not much room for error. Oh, so she's going to be on her own and just completely overdoes it and into the tires. And that is going to be day done for Lindsey Brewer. Let's go on board to see what it was like when the car just went around on her. Oof. So under caution, first car lap down is the 00 of Glover Lore, so he should get the wave around. Gonna have to see exactly where they decide to order the field. Take a look at your stint lengths. So everyone pretty much just pit, besides Van Gisbergen, Armstrong. Well, Armstrong pit earlier, but Van Gisbergen, Gagne, I believe March, Ragunathan, and Draconi have not pit at all. I also don't think DeFrancesco has pit. So they're, unfortunately for them, going to cycle to the back. Their strategy is not going to work out today. Bad luck, but that's how it is. It is kind of refreshing to have a pretty normal strategy after whatever Spa was. But we're going to have to see how the field's going to be lined up. So of today, Connor Zilic has led 6 laps, Van Gisbergen has led 3, and then Marcus Armstrong has led the most at 16. Been a pretty wide open day. As race recap, we're on essentially lap 22 of 35, so not many laps to go. This is our first caution of the day, 3 lead changes. Very, very competitive. Surprisingly, Draconi decides not to come in. Martz decides to not come in. I don't know what they're planning on, but they obviously can't make it to the end. Sure. But that will make things a little difficult for a guy like Marcus Armstrong, who's down in 8th and needs to pass 2 cars to catch up to where he wants to be. Oh, I don't think the pits were open that time. It was kind of strange because the pace car came out like... Well, yellow flag came out like as the leaders were on the start finish line, so as the cars that did not come in yet, Francesco Draconi, it's going to be quite unfortunate. He's going to have to give up his position. A couple guys giving up their position. I didn't think they'd need to. Priest and Foster being some of them. They're all actually getting waved around the pace car. The top 7. Not quite sure what that's about. But these guys, because of when the pace car came out, these guys may be stuck behind the pace car. Well, these guys basically get a lap ahead. I've never seen this. One lap to green. And your leaders are going to be subjected to being behind the field, essentially. At least for these guys, that pretty much secures a top 7 finish unless something goes horribly wrong. Well, this could be very, very interesting as Brennan Hubbard, who is a lap down, is basically bringing everyone to green. This is a rare thing that happens on iRacing. and usually only happens when the pace car comes out at like right as the leaders are on the start-finish straight. But the top 7 all going to be together. They're going to have to battle through the field. So I guess to win this, you got to earn it. Van Gisbergen and Gagne have not pit in a very good while. A lot of cars had black flags for some reason. I don't know why. But I cleared those, so hopefully those aren't an issue. But Brennan Hubbard is going to be leading the field to green. This could be a bit sketchy, especially for your leaders. But when it comes to the stint lengths, Van Gisbergen and Gagne are on significantly older tires compared to everyone else. So this may only be a 5-horse race. Van Gisbergen is on hards, old hards, 17-lap old hards, and Gagne is on 12-lap old softs, so Gagne may need to pit early, but luckily he's actually still going to be like 7th at worst with how this all shakes out, so it's good for him. Again, same with Van Gisbergen, but Hubbard is going to be leading us back to green. But Zilich is your leader deep in the field as green flag is out at the front of the field. And it's going to be a madhouse back here. Zilich can't pass anyone on the inside until the line. Luckily, he waited. But here comes Van Gisbergen around the outside of Siegel. Siegel's going to hang on. Zilich has already put one car between him and Siegel. That's the 53. He's trying to go for another, but he's going to pop out of line. That's going to hurt him just a little bit. But the top 7 all through cleanly so far, as they all get by the 53, besides the 90 of Gagne and the 24 of Chet Jordan. They're just a little bit behind. So no cars separate Zilich to Siegel, and Siegel to Van Gisbergen, and so on. So this is going to be highly competitive. Zilich going to try and go around, I believe that's Dawa Tenzin right there, as Siegel going to go around the outside, and he's going to get it in the chicane, and Zilich going to be stuck on a lane behind Stingray Rob, and that's going to help the number 19 get by. But he's not out of it yet. The number 9 can still draft up to him and get by, as Van Gisbergen has to come in now. I think that's a good call for Van Gisbergen. Gagne going to come in as well, so only the top 5 are still out there, but they're all at the back of the field essentially. Just keep it clean to the end. 9 laps to go. That's going to be another car that they're going to pick off. But Zilich going to get by as well, so 0 cars between Siegel and Zilich. Allgaier, the final car on the podium, in 3rd. Armstrong not far behind him. So Gagne and Van Gisbergen come out there in 6th and 7th, but way behind the field. So they're really stacked up behind the 95 of Nico Hulkenberg here. Siegel gonna try and make some aggressive moves to get by. Zilich gonna follow, and that's gonna put 0 cars between the two now, as Allgaier and Armstrong still struggle in traffic. But Viking Racing 1-2, this is what they need. Been struggling for a win this whole season, but right now in a prime position. 14 still trying to hold off the 33. They're almost going to be side by side. This is for the last spot on the podium. Now they're coming up on another group of cars. Lawless Allen, first one they're going to have to pick off. He is over a lap down. He sits in 27th. As he had multiple issues earlier. Only one car out of the race. But Van Gisbergen and Gagne, for them, they're not too far behind the leaders. Just because of how slow the back of the field is. So there's a good chance they could claw back into this. But they would need to be going very quick. As up here, Siegel gonna try and go around Lawless Allen. He's not going to. Allgaier still ahead of Armstrong. But watch the gap between Van Gisbergen and Siegel. Right now it's 22 seconds. As both Siegel and Zilich going to get around Lawless Allen there. Now going to try and go by Malukas, who's in 17th. Man, this is quite exciting to see these guys have to try and fight through. And then back here, the battle for third still rages on, but we still have the battle for the lead. Unfortunately for Zilich, what's at his disadvantage right now is the draft train in front of him, so he can't get a good run on the 19 because he's getting a draft in front of him. As Armstrong going to dive to the inside of Allgaier. He's looking for third. They're 3 wide into turn 1. Armstrong going to get the benefit of it, and he's now on the final podium position in third. So a change in the top 5 right there. Van Gisbergen has cut it down to 19 seconds with 6 laps to go. But as these cars pick off more of the cars in front of them, it's going to be harder for Van Gisbergen and Gagne to catch up to him, as Armstrong going to put a car in between him and Allgaier. If you're Zilich, you're going to be looking for a dive bomb move, sort of what Armstrong just did. Armstrong not out of it yet. There's still 6 laps to go, but there's 2 cars in between him and Zilich. But 2 cars is actually not that much if you can get it right. Siegel taking it easy. I think that would be the right call for now. As Allgaier going to get past again, Chet Jordan going to go on the outside to take 4th. So Allgaier falls down to 5th. Van Gisbergen now only back by about 16 seconds, but he's going to be closing in on the first of your slow cars. So his run may die out, but he might get the fastest lap. He might have the fastest lap, actually. Siegel has led 5 laps up to this point. Zilich has led 10. And Armstrong looking to get by Allen, and that's going to only put him back by 1. Could he put an end to the Viking Racing Party up at the front? He seemed to be the fastest on pace, but his tires have gone before everyone else's. Oh, it's fun. This is fun. As we do have a car off track, it's the 95 of Nico Hulkenberg. Had a mild off, but he's gone back going. Armstrong's right there. Four laps to go. Can Siegel hold on? Can Zilich hold on? Can Viking Racing hold on? Will Marcus Armstrong put an end to their party? Armstrong He's trying to make up points in the championship. Right now, he'd only be making up about 7. That'd still put him behind by about 60-some points, as Hulkenberg has found himself backwards once again. Siegel's basically begging for a yellow at this point to try to stay ahead as they're battling in front of him, kicking up dirt. He almost had a chance to get around Malukas there, but he had to check up, and that might allow Connor Zilic to get by. He's in the draft now. He's trying to look to the outside. Can he get there? No, he can't. Back here, Allgaier and Jordan still battle as they're behind Lawless Allen. Three to go. Oh man, it could still come down to anything. Armstrong stuck behind the 43 of Dorian Pinn. That's not too slow of a car. We know that car is quick, just having an unfortunate day today, running in 18th. Has only been able to make up 6 spots since the start. Siegel all over the back of Malukas. If he can put one car between him and Zilic, that might be it. 2 laps to go. He's going to try and go up the inside here, but Malukas is going to be defensive, and he's going to hang on. Meanwhile, Chad Jordan trying to get by Lawless Allen to put a car in between him and Allgaier for 4th. Armstrong having difficulty with the 43 as Zilic goes to the inside of Siegel, but can't quite get there, and that's going to make him lose a little bit of momentum, but he's going to catch right back up to it. So bold moves is what it's going to take from the number 9. Siegel and Zilic want to prove that they're the best on their team, as here comes Marcus Armstrong. He's gotten by Dorian Pinn. He is in the battle, and Chet Jordan trying to go by Dorian Pinn as well, and he's going to get it done. So top 4 all together now. As here comes Marcus Armstrong looking up the inside, going into the chicane. Can't quite get there on Connor Zilic, but that may have been all he has, as there's not many opportunities left. 1 lap to go. What is it gonna take? Armstrong looks aggressive as Justin Allgaier, he's arrived on the scene as he gets by Dorian Pinn. The top 5 all together. Half a second between Siegel and Zilic. Zilic slow off that turn once again. That loses you momentum down the straightaway. Zilic only has about 1 more opportunity now, and it's going to be going into the chicane. He's going to have a run here. He's going to look to the outside, but can't quite get there. Siegel's going to stay ahead. No change in the top 5 right there, as here they come. Off the final turn in Viking Racing, heartbreak at Spa, but it's not going to matter here, as Nolan Siegel wins at Zandvoort, and his teammate Connor Zilic will come behind in 2nd. Silly Men Racing gets some redemption as well, finishing 3rd and 4th, and Allgaier going to back up his win with a top 5 run. what a race that was. Highly competitive, a lot of battles for the lead. I tell you, Nolan Siegel was probably not the guy that I was going to predict would win that race, but he is the one that gets it done. As he will come into pit lane here, let's take a look at your official results. Nolan Siegel holds off teammate Connor Zilic by only 2/10 to get the first win for Viking Racing this season. Nolan Siegel's second victory in his open wheel offline league career. His first one came at Watkins Glen a very long time ago, back in season 2. Marcus Armstrong going to return to the podium with a third place finish. Jordan recovers from a spin to finish fourth. Then Justin Allgaier will finish fifth. Shane Van Gisbergen, not enough time to close back in. He's only going to finish sixth, and he's going to lose a little bit of space to Armstrong in points, but still a pretty solid lead. Guy Gagne going to come home in seventh. Last car of really those that were able to basically get around the pace car. Mahavir Raghunathan makes it back-to-back top 10s as he finishes 8th, another good result for that team. Ryan Preece will finish in ninth, and then Francesco Draconi will round out your top 10 in 10th place. For the rest of the field, Carlos Huertas doesn't make it another back-to-back 6, but a much cleaner race. He'll come home in 11th. Devlin DeFrancesco will finish in 12th. Louis Foster, unfortunately, all he's got is a 13th. Ethan Martz 14th. Benjamin Peterson able to claw through the field to finish 15th, and then David Malukas, last car on the lead lap, as he finishes in 16th. Alessio Deletta, late pit stop, is gonna put him in only 17th. Dorian Pinn will finish in 18th, not able to make up positions today. Robbie Lohr, early incident, gonna put him in 19th. Same with Stingray Robb, he'll be in 20th. Dawa Tenzin in 21st. Tinkle McStinkle in 22nd. Glupler Lore 23rd, Miles Rowe 24th, Nico Hulkenberg late issues to finish in 25th, Brennan Hubbard in 26th, Lawless Allen multiple issues, only car 2 laps down, he'll finish in 27th, then Lindsey Brewer, your lone DNF for this race at Zandvoort, as this was quite an exciting one. We are now over halfway through the season. Up next is our 4th leg of this European road course journey, and that will be at the Nürburgring, not the full circuit, obviously the Grand Prix circuit. First time we've been to the Nürburgring, and qualifying for that will be on Tuesday, as this season still far from over, and anything can happen, as shown in this race.